So this video will be different than my normal videos, as I mentioned in my update post, which if you haven't checked out will be at the top of this blog post. In this video, I'll be taking you through the process on how I make my models. Now I am by no means good at this and do need to spend some time getting better at it. I'll be covering three main topics: how I make my basic models, a brief overview of the main character, and finally some of the models I haven't shown in the blog. Let's start with how I normally make 3D models. To begin with, I go to Customize, Unit Setup, and make sure it's set to centimeters. This is so when I make an object, I know what the size will be relative to Unreal. Now to start making something. Now I use a lot of these objects depending on what I'm making, but since right now it's just a simple demonstration, I'm going to be using the box object. Once I have the size right, I make some adjustments to round the numbers out. I will also set up the segment here normally. However, in this case, as I'm not really demonstrating a certain object, it's really hard to do, so I'm just going to leave it at a random number. I basically use a mix of the vertex selection tool alongside the select and move cursor to shape my object into a shape that looks like the design I want. Now sometimes I will also use a scale cursor, but I've been really careful with that recently as I've been told it has some bad effects with animation. I sometimes also use tools like chamfer, which will cut a vertex into multiple. Extrude, which allows me to, extrude a face. This is pretty much the same routine I do for all my models, the only difference being the shape I finish with depends on what I'm trying to make. Now for a brief overview of the character I made. For how I made it, you can see the information below, along with the start of the video. This is more about why I designed the character this way. So this character design is simple, and during pre-production I was very aware I couldn't do a full-fledged character, especially animate it. At the same time, I also wanted to be able to make something that a player could customize, but also I could do by myself. Though at the time of this recording, it looks like I'm going to have to cut the customization. I also went with detached limbs as I thought it'd be the easiest way to animate something that looked good, but also didn't require too much work. It also reminded me of games like Rayman, which I really like the design of. I also went with cubes because it fits the cartoony or voxelish looking world. If you would like to see all of my early thoughts on designs, I would highly recommend looking at the link below, which will show all my pre-production work and some of the concept designs I made. To keep this short, and because I have a lot of work to do, let's go through this last stage quickly. Now, I used rocks as the examples below, so let me show you the trees. This was quite simple, and I just used a pyramid object with a little editing. I also separated the log and tree as I wanted to be able to change the height in Unreal. Now, I want to show you all the work I've done, but I couldn't load up at the same time. As you can see in the folder, I've done quite a few stuff, and I will hopefully get into some of them later in later blogs. The ones I don't, I will try to show examples of in this video when I'm editing, which you'll see here. With that note, I have a lot to do, and we'll see you in the next video.